Hi everyone, it's Wendy. I've been making these lovely dangles with the tassel on. These came about, I was scrolling through some things on Temu, and they had these, they call them fish mouth. I don't know why, but you know, the header beads or something, you know, caps, bead caps, that's the word I was looking for. And they were in a pack of 20, obviously for pennies, and that's what they are like. Little hole in the top, and I just thought they'd be nice for doing the tassels that I do like to make sometimes. So I've done a selection of them here, and then I thought I'd put some beads on the top, and I'm just leaving them like that for now until I know where I'm going to use them. But there's quite a selection there. And then I thought, well, if I can use that type of bead cap, I can use some that I've already got. And I had these smaller ones that I do use when I'm making dangles, and these are same sort of thing but quite small. So I'm going to make some with you now. I'll just put those to the side. And you need some quite strong cord. Now this is crochet cotton, and you need something to wrap it round to give you a length of. I normally use my phone, but I'm just going to use this ink pad. So for the bigger ones, I wrap it round about 25 times. It's only to get the length. You could just lay it out in strips in lengths, but this to me is easier and quicker. So you just keep wrapping it round. Then you need some decent sharp scissors to cut, and I think that'll do. Now I'm just going to chop that, then slide it off. Oops. Keep it in the full piece. Now I'm cutting it where the pieces end, so down at the bottom there. These Tim Holtz snippers aren't the sharpest of things. So that to me will make 2 tassels. So I'm going to cut it in half. Just leave that bunch to one side, and that's the length we've got. That is about 4.5 inches. Then you need a length of twine to tie it. So lay that across your twine, get it about in the middle, and then I tie a reef knot, which is right over left and then left over right. So this is why you need quite strong, because as you pull it tight, you don't want it to snap. On the smaller ones, I did use my waxed twine that I use for sewing in my junk journal signatures. So you've got your tassel like so. I trim the ends off at the end once I've got it into the bead cap. Now I find the easiest thing to use is a beading needle. Now these are exceptionally fine needles. I didn't know about these until I watched Natasha at Treasure Books, and the very, very fine wire, and they split open, and then you put your threads in between like so, and then that enables you to thread onto beads like so. So then pull it so that it goes up to the top of the bead cap, and then you can start threading your beads on. Now I have got a bead box here. Just let me open my tray. I've got a bead box with some heart beads in and some pearls. and some smaller pearls, and I'm hoping the holes in these will be big enough to enable the needle and thread to go through. Some of my beads are the hole is too small. That I know the hearts are fine. It's a little green heart, so I'm going to put a smaller pearl on, just like making dangles really. See, that is too small, the hole in that one. So I'm just seeing if the bigger one, yeah, that looks like it's got a bigger hole. That just about goes through. So I'll have to use the bigger ones. See how many we can get on. Beads do vary size wise. See, that smaller one has gone on okay. That looks small. That one looks a bigger one. And they're all out the same bag. That looks a reasonable size. Let's see. Yeah, that's gone on. So you don't need many, just I've got 3 of the slightly larger and 3 smaller ones. And I'm going to leave it at that. I can always thread some more on at a later date, but I'm just going to leave that as it is until I'm ready to use it. Then what I do, you can put it on a piece of sellotape to cut it, just like so. That didn't work, did it? Push it all down. Oh, I know what I should have done. Just leave my sellotape for a second there. Just tie a knot at the top. It'll stop the beads moving. Like so. So that's ready to use. Right, get my sellotape back. I'm just going to put the sellotape, make sure all the threads are fairly straight. Put the sellotape round to hold them all together. See, that one's come out. And then try and snip them all level. Like so. And take the sellotape off. I do actually find it easier just putting it between my fingers. See, that's just got an end there that's still not level. So there we are. So that's one done. So I'm going to do one with the smaller bead cap, and one of these ones, and I'll use this other one. So with the smaller ones, I do find the wax thread is better because it's a lot finer than this brown cotton. So I'm just going to tie this one in the middle. Like so. And another knot. And pull them down. In fact, I think that might be too big to go into that one. We'll try it anyway. Let's put it onto the beading needle and see. Might be too many threads, too thick, if you know what I mean. So let's just put the threads through the beading needle and see if it will work. Or it might actually look okay if we keep it tight, like so. Right, let's put, now these beads should all go on this because the the waxed twine is a lot thinner than the brown crochet thread. So I'm going to put a couple of the smaller beads on, just however many's on my desk. They're the larger ones. So I'll put 2 on, then I'll put these 3 larger ones on. Those 2 are actually stuck together. Make sure they're well pushed down onto the bead cap. This is the sort of thing I like to do at night, watching telly. I can just put things on my tray and just, in fact I was sat out last night, we were having a barbecue, and I had my tray and I put it on the floor while I was eating, and John stood on my tray and broke it. So I'll have to get myself a new one. Right, I'm tying a knot in those. Nice and tight. Right, I'm not going to bother with the sellotape. I'm just going to hold the threads between my fingers like a hairdresser does. Like so. Right, see, I've tied a knot in the top of that cotton and a bead has slipped over it. So I'm going to have to tie a couple more knots, or put another bead on, a smaller hole one. See there? But that's it for now. That's just the general idea, and I thought they looked really quite good. You could even put a few together to make a spine dangle. Once you've decided what colourways you're going to use, you could put those together with some ribbon and lace and make a nice chunky spine dangle. So let me know what you think in the comments, and I do like you to leave a comment, and then I can read them all and reply, and be a subscriber, and I shall see you all next time. So thanks for watching. Bye.